Thank you for joining us today. I'm here to provide an update on investigations into 2 suspected hate crime assaults. As a reminder of what led us here, on April 30th and again on May 7th, members of Toronto's Jewish community were allegedly targeted in a series of incidents in the Bathurst Street corridor. In the first incident, victims were visibly identifiable as Jewish, were shot from a passing vehicle using an imitation firearm. Just 1 week later, police responded to a second incident outside a synagogue, where 3 more members of the Jewish community were shot at from a vehicle. While the weapon involved was an imitation firearm, the victims did not know that at the time. They believed they were being shot at, and they experienced the fear and shock that comes with believing that someone is shooting at you. Following the second incident, investigators moved quickly, and on May 8th, arrested and charged an 18-year-old man from Vaughan. But the investigation did not stop there. Members of our counterterrorism security unit continued to follow the evidence, execute search warrants, and identify others who were allegedly involved. As a result of that work, we're here today to announce 4 additional arrests: 2 adult men, 1 male youth, 1 female youth. 2 additional suspects, 1 male and 1 female, have yet to be identified and remain outstanding. These incidents were not random. Based on the evidence gathered during the investigation, we allege that members of the Jewish community were deliberately targeted. These incidents appear to have been organized and planned with more than 1 individual involved in the coordination. We know the profound effect incidents like this have on the community. Beyond the individuals directly involved, they create fear, anxiety, and uncertainty for countless others who see themselves reflected in the victims. People question whether they are safe attending religious services, walking in their neighborhood, or openly expressing who they are. That is why we take these investigations so seriously. The arrests being announced today are the result of extensive work by the members of the Counterterrorism Security Unit. I want to thank those officers for their dedication and professionalism. While this matter remains before the courts, I will say this: allegations targeting violence against the community demands a thorough and determined response. We also recognize that incidents like these can be early warning signs of something more serious. When allegations, targeted, hate-motivated violence come to our attention, early intervention matters. That is why investigators work tirelessly to follow the evidence and identify everyone who is involved. The Toronto Police Service remains committed to protecting our communities and thoroughly investigating any allegation of hate-motivated criminal activity. Thank you, and I will now take your questions.
Any questions? Yes. Hello, I'm with Global News. Just a quick question. So, just to confirm, for both incidents, these gel blasters were used. Is that right?
No, that's correct.
Okay. And yeah, what can you tell us about? Were all these suspects that were arrested involved in both of the incidents, just one of the incidents, or what did that look like?
There are 7 in total. That some were involved in the first incident, some in the second. There was commonality between the vehicle used and some of the suspects that linked this together. I can tell you that from the 7, they were organized and planned, and some of that planning even occurred in the day before this happened.
And what about the 18-year-old that was already arrested and charged? Like, was this thought to be like the ringleader, for lack of a better word, or like how does that person fit into these other suspects?
Well, the important piece to that is that individual and the arrest and the seizure of evidence from that arrest is what led to the identification of the other accused. I will say that there's still 2 that remain unidentified, and I would say to the community that's listening here today, if you have any information about the 2 unknown suspects, please contact police.
Any indication for those suspects, like ages or genders, anything people should look out for specifically for those 2 people?
We have 1 male that's unknown and 1 female that's unknown. And maybe I'll turn it over to Detective Sergeant Kiran Bisla, who may have more in regards to description.
Just further to the Chief Superintendent's point, it is a male and female unknown, and we believe them to be youth. So for that reason, we will not be able to publish any photos or images.
Is there any connection to bigger organizations with these adults involved, and although using devices that look like play toys, possible nail guns, where does that fit into the categorization of firearm?
Very important question, because I've heard, there's a narrative within the community that this could be child play and this was not a real firearm. But I think it's really important to look at the timeline of these events of targeting the Jewish community. We had 2 synagogues that were shot at, the U.S. consulate. We had Jewish businesses that were shot at. And then we have individuals exiting a synagogue that are struck by something. Well, immediately that person's going to believe that that's a real firearm. That is something, that's real fear that sits in them, and they will live with that forever. I think whether it's a real firearm or not, we take these equally as seriously.
Is there a connection to that, just with the earlier part of the question, to bigger organizations perhaps? Or
the broader threat picture? 100%. We look at these cases not in isolation. We looked at them collectively. There's been a number of incidents targeting the Jewish community. They feed a broader threat picture. We're always looking at the evidence to see if there's linkages between these cases, and if they do surface, then they obviously will be linked together and will prosecute as such. Also looking at the continuum of how hate crime is often a precursor to terrorism. And that is why our hate crime unit is embedded in our counterterrorism unit, to make sure that these investigations can streamline easily into the terrorism space.
Colin Freeze, Globe Mail. Is an Iranian-backed terror group known as Hay driving any of the incidents you just talked about?
There's no evidence to suggest that, no.
Well, there was, though. I'm aware of a U.S. FBI agent in New York swearing an affidavit saying they arrested a foreign terrorist associated with that group, who started that group, and he claimed that the consulate shooting and possibly synagogue shooting was something that Haiti inspired, but I've never heard Canadian police give their version of events as to whether that's true.
So I can tell you I am aware of that arrest, the individual by the last name of Al-Sadi. It's been quite largely publicized in media. We are connected with our federal and international partners on that, but currently I can tell you there's no direct linkage to this case, and that we have no direct threat against the Jewish community at this time.
The consulate shootings or any of the synagogue shootings, could that be a potential foreign inspired by the foreign terrorist group we're talking about here in Al-Sadi, or is that?
As I said, we're looking at all evidence, all avenues. It's important to not have our minds closed to any potential linkages to foreign actor, and that we're well connected with our federal partners. We have a framework here in Canada that we have an embedded TPS member with the RCMP that's looking at these cases, and we also are connected internationally with our partners down in New York.
Any other questions?
Just lastly, what additional, are you doing any additional coverage within that Bathurst community, or to in consideration of these additional arrests above and beyond the presence that you see at malls and stuff like that with TPS vehicles?
In terms of increasing our presence, yes, I mean, there is, times where these incidents occur and we increase our uniform visibility, knowing that's a key preventative measure. We have increased our resources in that area. I can also say we're very aware of the Walk for Israel that's upcoming on June 7th, and we have a very robust plan for visible presence at that event for the safety.
I have a question just about the firearms. So was it just one for each incident or multiple? I know you were showing some photos where I think there was more than one in one of the photos. Can you tell us how many weapons were at each of these incidents here?
I'm going to just turn that question over to Detective Sergeant Bisla.
Just based on the evidence that we have right now, we believe it was one.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.